Hello everybody, and welcome to the Fortean Slip Bedtime Stories. Tonight, a Bigfoot encounter in the Marble Mountain wilderness of Northern California. In 2006, a couple was venturing into retirement and doing some metal detecting. Their sons decided to get them a brand new pair of metal detectors, since they had graduated from detecting in the local parks to some older trails. They were told by a gentleman in Happy Camp one weekend about an old stage line that ran through parts of the forest that was still visible in certain places. The first day that they had gone out, they found a rusted horseshoe, a gold pocket watch, and after it cleaned up, there was an inscription that read, "My beloved husband, 1811. Throughout the rest of the day, they had found a gold band, a very rusted horseshoe, a spoon, and metal parts that were probably used on the wheel rims of stagecoaches. But at the end of the day, they were losing daylight, and they still needed to walk miles back to the RV, so they had headed back. The man had fell behind his wife, working the metal detectors, and then it happened. He heard his wife calling out his name. He stopped and looked up the road ahead of him to see what she wanted, and she stood pointing at the trees, to this thing that was standing there. His first instinct was bear, then instantly, it was standing upright, looking directly at his wife, the two of them not 40 feet apart. He was shocked. It was large, well-built, and male. Not tall as to be wildly unimaginable, just tall. His wife froze. This wild man-looking thing was swaying from side to side. His wife called out his name, and the thing answered her with a sound like who. They were startled. The man set both metal detectors on the ground and yelled to his wife not to move, thinking it would go away, but it stood there swaying from side to side. There were parts of its body that had hair growing on it. It was quite a sight. His head seemed smaller than it should be for his size, and his hair was lengthy and tucked behind his large ears. The man's wife called out Bigfoot, and it finally registered in the man's head. He picked up the metal detectors, turned them off, and started to move rapidly towards his wife. When he got to his wife's side, he could see the wild man's frightened eyes. He seemed to have an ordinary man's unshaved face, but the rest of him was larger around. He saw the metal detectors and kept looking down at them. He took a step backwards into the shaded area where he was less visible. His hair was thick, long, black, and looked well-groomed. His face was young, and his features distinct. They moved on down the road to get to the RV, got inside, locked the door, and were both shook up at what had happened.